If you've seen our video of the Hyundai i20 N-Line, you would have known how impressed we were with this car. Personally, I think this is the best driving mass market hatchback on sale in India today.
Wait a second, Saumil. Are you trying to tell me that it's more fun and more engaging than the Polo GT TSI? I mean, this car has been there for years. Other fun to drive hatchbacks have come and gone, but this is still in the game. So...
All right. Let's do this. Why don't you drive this car? Let me drive that car and let's see how that goes.
Okay, sounds like a plan. This is possibly one of the last times, if not the last time, we'll have the Polo before it finally bows out. This story is really a test to see if the i20 N-Line can step up and become the fun to drive hatchback to buy. Whoever has driven it has raved about it, and Saumil's hell-bent to make me a convert.
So there are 4 things which are specific to the N-Line over the standard car. The first one is that this version gets stiffer suspension. The damping force is 30% stiffer in the N-Line compared to the standard car. Yes, low speed is a bit stiffer, but it's at the high speed when you actually come to appreciate this stiffer suspension.
It's not as roly-poly
Absolutely.
as the standard i20 is.
And that brings me to the second change, that's the steering. The power assistance has been reduced in the N-Line to give you that more connected, more engaging feel.
And it really has made a difference. Nice. It feels very linear, you know, in the way the input you're giving is going as it is to the front wheels. It feels very precise in a way. Generally, it's feeling a lot more sure-footed, a lot more confident.
What also adds to the confidence is the fact that you also get rear disc brakes in this car.
There's more bite for sure. You know, it's all these incremental improvements in the areas of ride and handling and braking and steering feel that have really enhanced the overall sensation that you get behind the wheel of an i20.
And I'm seeing you enjoying the paddle shifts too.
Yeah. I mean, this is something that will just make everyday drive so much more fun. You don't really need to be going fast. You can play Formula 1 racer in your head even at city speeds.
And then there are the familiar bits. Hyundai's 120 horsepower turbo petrol engine and the 7-speed dual clutch transmission. Let's see what Nikhil thinks of it.
The thing is with this engine, it's a pleasant and friendly engine, but it's not an urgent engine.
Correct, yeah.
It doesn't have that that mid-range and top end that you'd really want from a sporty car, especially one that handles so well.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's the i20 N-Line is almost there as a really fun car to drive. A bit more maybe fire under the bonnet would have really elevated it to the next level, I think.
What Nikhil hasn't noticed is that the N-Line also gets a louder exhaust. So at low speeds or when you're downshifting, you can hear this really sporty burble from the exhaust. And well, don't go around expecting a free flow like sound, but it is there when you keep your ears open.
You'll have to keep your ears really wide open because honestly inside the car you can't hear much of the exhaust. Of the other things, the N-Line doesn't seem any harder to drive than the standard i20 in town, which is a good thing because it's really very friendly, easygoing, doesn't have much issues in keeping up with the flow of traffic. I think it's a friendly car with a sporty side.
Correct. I think you summed it up well. And now it's my turn to get behind the wheel of the Polo GT TSI. So, welcome to 2010, Nikhil.
Yeah, man.
There's nothing that's changed over here.
Yeah, I mean, where are the big screens? Where are the digital dials? Where's the sunroof?
It's all the same.
And also, aren't we sitting a lot closer to each other?
100%.
Now, a bit of history first. The original GT TSI came out in 2013. It had a 1.2 litre 4-cylinder engine which made 105 horsepower and 175 Newton meters. This GT TSI that came in 2020 is very different. It's got a smaller engine, a 1 litre turbocharged TSI
But
petrol
it's
engine.
more powerful.
But yeah, it's
110
horsepower, 175 Newton meters, same as before. But the other bigger change is the change in transmission. The 7-speed dual clutch DSG has made way for a 6-speed torque converter automatic. So, Saumil, what's the feel like?
I really love this engine.
Yeah, isn't it a bomb?
It is
It's an
phenomenal.
absolute bomb of an
The
engine.
mid-range is so strong, the top end is strong, it just keeps pulling. It's so much freer revving than the i20's 1 litre.
The Hyundai makes more power, 120 horsepower, but the Polo's 110 horsepower feels more forceful.
Absolutely, and this gearbox, it really does a superb job while mated with this TSI engine. This gearbox does oblige to really aggressive downshifts. So you can really come down all the way to 5,500 RPM and it will let you enjoy your manual control over this gear.
Yeah, and that's something which you don't get on the i20. It's quite conservative with downshift.
Yeah, but you know what? When you were driving the i20, I saw you having a lot more fun with the paddle shifters, and that's what I miss in this Polo's package.
So Saumil, you've also tested both cars. What were they on performance?
So in terms of performance, I think the Polo was 10.2 seconds from 0 to 100, whereas the i20 was 11.3. Now that is much slower than Hyundai's claim of sub 10 seconds 0 to 100, and quite frankly you can't launch either of the two cars. So you can't sort of brake boost them and take off in a really aggressive manner. They take off in a very linear manner. But well, that's for boy racers, and that's a statistic only some enthusiasts will be interested
Boy
in.
racers will be the ones buying these cars, so it is an important fact.
If this contest was all about the engine, this would definitely be the winner.
Yeah.
Hands down, no questions asked.
Absolutely. But it's not all perfect, as Saumil quickly realizes. The gearbox has its quirks.
So you know what? On first impression, you can't tell that this is not a dual clutch transmission and it's a torque converter. It is that smooth, and even the upshifts are really smooth and seamless. But when you are starting off from a standstill, like I'll demonstrate to you right now. See, you've come to a halt, alright, and when you just leave the brake, this car lurches forward. And in traffic,
It's like it's running away from you.
exactly. So you do need to sort of modulate the brake and take control over the speed of the car. One more quirk with this transmission is that when you're slowing down for a speed breaker like this, the downshift from 3 to 2nd and 2nd to 1st, you can feel it. It's not very smooth. And if I was in sport mode, it would have been even more prominent.
And that is strangely a link between the old GT TSI with its DSG and the new GT TSI with its torque converter. Both of them strangely are completely different gearboxes but have the same quirk when it comes to slowing down, that little bit of jerkiness, especially from 3rd to 2nd gear and 2nd to 1st.
Yeah, that's not changed.
And Saumil, what about the brakes? Now the Polo doesn't get rear discs.
Yeah.
the i20 does. So can you really tell a difference?
You can't really tell the difference between the two. I mean, the brake performance is actually quite nice. It's pretty much at par with the i20 with 4-disc brakes. But the brake pedal feel, which was a complaint with older GT owners as well, but even in this car, that pedal feel doesn't give you the confidence that you are looking for while driving in a spirited manner. One more thing I noticed is that when I was sitting on the passenger seat in the i20, the i20 felt a lot more composed at these speeds.
But the bigger surprise to me has been the steering.
Absolutely, all these years we've grown to love the Polo steering, but well, after experiencing the i20 N-Line, I think the Polo steering is not all that great, The Polo steering isn't as slick as the Hyundai's. Yes, you heard that right.
Okay, so to sum up, the i20 has the better steering. It's more composed around corners.
Agree.
It's got the better brakes.
Agree.
It has got paddle shifters.
Yes.
But the Polo has the stronger engine.
Right.
And the Polo has the faster gearbox.
Correct.
Okay, cool. So with that sorted, let's look at other aspects of the car. Yeah?
Sure.
Okay, Saumil, now that we have both cars back at base, what do you think of the Polo's look?
I think it's still a very handsome looking car, and despite its age, the clean styling, the typical understated design of Volkswagen, it works, yeah, even in today's times.
Which is a polite way of saying it's old and outdated.
No, but the GTI-like bumper, the spoiler, all these small little things really add to its appeal, honestly.
Yeah, but we've seen it for too many years.
Okay, what do you think of the i20?
I think it's almost been a year since the new i20 came out, so it's still radical. It's still not a car that everyone will like for the way it looks. But I like what they've done with the N-line.
N-line, yeah.
The red details here, the checkered effect on the grille. They could have been a bit more adventurous with the wheels, I think.
Correct. Even the twin exhaust tips at the back, it adds to that whole hot hatchish character.
And gets the point across that this is not an ordinary i20, which I think this one doesn't quite.
It's the Hyundai that walks away with it when talking interiors. The i20's dashboard is thoroughly modern with neat touches like red piping and stitching on the seats, steering and gear lever, as well as aluminum pedals which enhance its sportiness quotient. On the whole, what you get is a very spacious cabin with plenty of storage areas and nice and comfy seats. For reference, Nikhil is just under 6 feet tall and he has adequate space at the rear while seated behind my 5'9" frame. The i20's boot is also much larger than the Polo's. What's nice in the Polo's cabin is that unlike some bits in the i20, everything feels great quality and feels built to last. Having said that, the seats aren't as comfy as the i20's and even space at the rear is limited. And now let's take a look at what they cost. Sure, the i20 is Rs 2 lakh pricier than the Polo GT TSI, but it is much better equipped. Over the GT TSI, it gets kit like LED headlamps, a large touchscreen, a digital instrument cluster, wireless charging, sunroof, side and curtain airbags, rear disc brakes, paddle shifters, and a Bose sound system to name a few, making the N-Line well worth that price premium. So Nikhil, we've driven both the cars. Is the Polo still your weapon of choice?
I'm not as convinced as I was at the start of today's driving. I will be honest, this still has the better engine. It's really punchy. It's still a fun to drive car. And actually, if you compare prices, this is better value as well. It comes in at 9.99 lakh rupees, opt for the Highline 80, and for the similar spec, you save another 30,000 rupees. But if you want to buy a Polo, the one to buy is the manual. You'll save more money and it's a car that will keep you happy for years to come. But then again, opting for a Polo requires you to make some compromises. It's not the most spacious, it's dated in look outside and inside. It's also missing a lot of features.
And that's exactly what the i20 is. It has the features, it has the space and practicality, and it is thoroughly modern. And yes, the i20 is a pricey car, but the N-Line is actually great value when you think about it. The driver enhancements have made it so good, it's one of the best driving cars, arguably.
Yeah, I agree now.
And if you had to buy that one car for the family and to enjoy driving, I think this would make a really strong proposition, and it's for that this one wins this comparison test.
Yeah, I think I'll have to agree. This is the more complete package, even if it costs a whole lot more. इसको ना एक बार रिकॉर्ड करना स्लाइली ऐसे बात करता है और वीडियो पर कैसे बात करता है सनी देओल Polo GT TSI take 2. The deal is I should be looking at you and talking, no?
Yeah,
or I should be looking outside.
I'm looking at you occasionally.
I'm not looking at you.
ये बंद करना है?
हाँ